I started record collecting a couple years ago, but at that point I had a Crosley turntable. You know, one of those ones that's like in the suitcase that looks all cool and retro that you pop a record on and you're just excited that you even can play records, but the sound quality isn't great. You can't really crank it, and after a while it just kind of falls apart. And that's what happened to mine. And for the longest time I was like worried about getting a turntable and trying to figure out a sound system. Can I hook it all up? Can I figure it out? I went to my local record store and they were super cool about it. I only have a couple $100. Like, I don't want to like spend thousands on this home theater system. I just want to be able to play some records and play them on my turntable. And the guy was amazing. You know, for $260, it would have been $300, but he knocked a couple bucks off, gave me some free records, and gave me an awesome deal. And I've been playing records ever since. And that started, I don't know, the beginning of this year. And it's still one of the greatest purchases I've ever made in my life, because being able to play these records and hear the music with an enhanced sound has just changed my life. I really like being more present with the music. It's something I've always enjoyed about records in general, but doing so with a sound system that's just like made to, you know, shoot it out at you like that, it's truly otherworldly. That's where it all started. And from there, it's been becoming an addiction. It's okay, because I think the biggest part about the vinyl community that I just love is that there is an actual community. People love collecting and talking about music, and there's something you gain from holding up an album cover. You walk around with a bag folded over, and if it's the right size, people start asking, hey, are those LPs? I had that happen to me yesterday. I was out downtown in a nice cute little port area, not here where I live, but visiting friends, and I go to this beautiful record store. I didn't go to record store day because I didn't want to wait in the lines and I really didn't feel like it, and it was a busy day and I couldn't handle it at the moment. I thought for sure I would be able to pick up Strawberry Alarm Clocks, Incense and Peppermints the next time. I was like, who's gonna want this hippie crap? But it turns out they must have, because they were sold out of it, and I went back to my local record store again, couldn't find it. And then when I wasn't looking for it, down in this record store, you know, about an hour south of me, I see the RSD 2023 tag there, and I go through it, and there it is. Incense and Peppermints. Yeah, it's a little expensive. I mean, that's how it goes with these new records and new pressings, $30, but I'm very excited to play it. I haven't even taken it out of the shrink wrap yet. I am a collector that plays my music. I know some guys just collect it so they can put the album cover up. I know some people do it to resell for the money value. I know a lot of people keep it shrink wrapped. For me, it's always been about the music. I'm really stoked to play this album. I just was recently introduced to this band, actually popped up on Spotify when I was listening to some other weird artist from 1001, and I was like, who are these guys? And so when I bought this album and I put it over the counter, the guy looks at me, and he's this older guy, you know, definitely in his like late 60s, early 70s. He had this like weird smile, and okay, maybe he's just like judging me for my weird hippie taste, and he looks at me, he's like, you know, I saw these guys live, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And he's like, oh yeah, I did. I was like, where'd you see him? He's like, oh, right up the street over here at this club that's long gone. And I was like, they played through the whole album? And he's like, oh yeah, they were killer, like they were great, they played with all these other bands that I had never heard of, and you know, we just got talking about music. And that's what I mean about the community. Like, you know, I'm in the record store and I see people younger than me digging through record bins, like talking to other people about music, and we're cracking jokes to each other, and I just feel this companionship that I don't really feel in a lot of other areas of my life. That's just so, you know, innate. It's not like forced. You just go into a record store, go and buy a record, and you meet some people that are just really cool and also like music. I also found Kiki D Band. Great condition. Again, when I look at these pressings, it's more for me about the ability to play it. And when I pop out a record like this and it looks fantastic and it doesn't even look like it's been played, I get super stoked. It's got the Rocket Record Company on here. It's got like a demented like Thomas the Train on here. If you've never heard of this band, they are the ones that play I've Got the Music in Me. I've got the music in me. Kiki D has a great musicality to her voice. I feel like she's very soulful sounding. I'm very excited to listen to this on record. I've always heard the album, but I've never heard it on vinyl, so super excited. I'm gonna open this up with everyone here because I can't help myself. I'm gonna try to open this up here. Here we go. I'm sure there's someone like, oh man, why are you opening this? Why are you doing that? Because I wanna listen to it, guys. Like, this is what I got it for. I got it because I wanted to listen to it. I didn't get it to resell it on Discogs to someone, you know, 1,000 years later. I got it because it has a pink pressing of this. Yeah, that's right, dude. Like, oh man, look at this. Look at that label. Isn't that amazing? Oh my God. Okay. And then, dude, like, does it get any better than that? Like, look at that. Like, I feel the trippiness, like, coming out of the album here. I am so stoked to play this. The record shop owner told me to light incense while I play this. I definitely might. I know he was joking, but I'm getting a little teared up here for some reason. I think it's just because literally I've been looking for this for a couple weeks, and I was getting to the point where I thought, oh, you know, I'm gonna have to like buy it for more money or something, and I'm gonna get rid of the plastic. My actual collection, I'll post that at a different video if people are interested. Let me know in the comments below if you are. But I've got, you know, probably over maybe 200 now albums. I buy a lot of them on eBay, but I also do like going to garage sales and flea markets and record stores. I just like to look for albums. I don't particularly when I go have like albums in mind. I do have a list of things that I'm looking for, but again, it's not about the pressings as much for me. Like, would it be cool to get an original pressing of something? Sure, but often those pressings don't sound as good. So that's something to note. The pressings get better as they become reissued or remastered. So if you're in it for the musicality, you probably can get something cheaper. If you're looking for the collectability, then yeah, original pressings, you need to know like what's on the label to be able to read serial codes and all that kind of stuff. If you're interested, again, like you can write in the comments below, we can have a video on that. That's not why I got into it. I just got into it because I really like the sound of vinyl. Like, it sounds really good on the record player. Is that possibly sometimes placebo? Yeah, maybe, but like there is some sort of warmth to it. I do like that the music is sort of imperfect. It's not sterile like the way that the MP3s sound. When you put it on your record player, you hear a difference. Because the music is pressed on there and the needle's like going across, it does feel like it brings it to life. And I just think there's also just this sense of like, what's the best term for it? Presence in listening to that type of music. You have to sit down and listen to it. You know, when it ends side A, you have to take it and flip it over and listen to side B. There's a sense of you having to, you know, attend to the music, you having to listen to it all. There's more mindfulness to it. Anyway, before I got Incense and Peppermints and I got the Kiki D band, I started by going to the flea market around 9 o'clock. Now, that is pretty late for a flea market to be going. Normally, you should be going at like when they open at like 6 or 7. You know, you want to be the first one at the tables, but I find that to be a mad dash. Sometimes it's really difficult because you're like trying to arm in arm over collectors and stuff like that. You know, is it cool to get a first pressing? Is it cool to get something rare? Yeah, of course. For me, I try not to make it too crazy on myself because again, like I'm just looking for whatever albums I'm looking for, just music I'm interested in. And I really want to talk about this haul that I had. So I went down to the flea market, and to be honest with you, I was not impressed because it felt like the same people were selling the same stuff as the last time I went. I'm going through the records. These guys seem these records in crappy condition. You know, I found this one guy that was like doing an estate sale, and like I get on my knees to like see these albums, and the covers are pretty worn. There's not even an album inside, and I'm like, okay, like I'm not buying these for just the covers, man. And like they looked like dirty, like they've been thrown around. And I go up to this one table, and this guy, you know, had Big Brother and the Holding Company, which has Janis Joplin in it. Cheap Thrills, and it's the one with like the comics on the front of it. And I always see that album, but it's always in bad condition. I don't know who the people were that were buying it, but they seem to have treated it like crap and thrown it around and scratched it up. And I go there, and this guy's got it. He's got the album, and he's got the album inside. I'm like, okay. And I look at it, and it's scratched up to heck. And he tells me, oh, the main selling point's the cover. And I'm like, dude, like I don't buy this so that I can just like put up on my shelf. Like, again, I know there are people that do that, and more power to you. Like, this would have been a great deal for you. But this guy was like trying to grift me. He was like, oh yeah, well you should get it, and you know, because it's really about the album cover and it's a collectible. I don't need a collectible that I can't even play on my turntable. Like, that's why I'm getting it. And then he's like trying to give me $1 billion babies. Again, bad condition. You're trying to grift me. Move on. It was kind of disappointing, but my spirits were lifted because I went to another table, and this really cool guy is there, and I'm standing next to people younger than myself looking through records and picking out some interesting stuff like REO Speedwagon and like a lot of 80s pop stuff, which is fine. Again, everybody has their own music that they like, and that's cool. And I'm going through, and I'm just like, okay, it just looks like normal stuff. It's just nothing that's appealing to me. It's all this like 80s pop stuff. It wasn't what I was looking for. And then I pull out this, which is the Best of Kansas. And Sarah has been looking for Carry On My Wayward Son on vinyl. You know, she didn't know that it's a single, so I had to explain like, yeah, it's probably on a 45 you're gonna find it, unless we can find it on the Greatest Hits album, which we did. I put that aside, and I'm just like, okay, like we can get this and head out of, you know, curiosity, start digging through. And all of a sudden I find an album that catches my eye, and it's Frampton Comes Alive. And this album here is at the record store typically for like 20 bucks. It's a double LP. Again, the cover's not amazing, But what's inside is what blew my mind, because I opened it up and I looked at the albums and they were completely beautiful. They look, oh my God, they look like they've been played, dude. And that's when I started getting curious. So I started digging through everything. And that's when I started finding the things that were blowing my mind, because I didn't just find this, but I found that, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. Again, perfect condition. I found this. I pull out Back in Black by AC/DC, which I've never seen at a record store. I know that sometimes pops up every once in a while, but used metal records are kind of hard to find. The man sees I pull this out, and he pulls this out for me. And he's like, you want this too? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, I do. I grab this and I pick this up and I put this aside. So now I found $1 Billion Babies in an actual good condition, unlike the other guy. And then I'm digging through more and I find 3 Yes albums. And like this one I used to listen to on CD when I was a kid. And like this one is just has Roundabout, which is just kick butt, and I love it. And then Close to the Edge, which is just a fantastic prog album. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I put them all aside and I'm like, how much are these gonna be? And he's like, oh, dude, I'll give you a deal. And he's like, $75. And all those albums, even if they cost $10, would be more expensive than what he offered me for it. So I bought them all. And then I went to another table and I found this Ahmed Jamal jazz album, which like super psychedelic and weird. More importantly than buying these albums was the conversation I had with a guy, which we talked about music. He saw that I got a DVD as well for Dream Theater, a progressive metal band. And he was like, oh my God, I love those guys. And we started talking about that kind of music. He talked about another band that he recommended to me, Polyphonia, I think. And I listened to them on the way on the drive back, and they were great. We just started talking about records, and we started talking about like what we collect, and we started talking about our turntable setups. And this is the type of thing that's amazing about collecting vinyl, is like you're not just accessing music from the past or from the present. For me, it's important to like dig through the vinyls of the past, because like for me it's a connection, right? Like you're using an old technology to connect with an older type of music. So that's what I like about it. But point is that you also connect with people. Like, you know, again, a lot of young people are doing this and like going through these albums and looking through and pulling them out and, you know, seeing the cover and opening up what's inside. And, you know, you get to see like, oh my God, like what is this? Like, and then you look at the back and you see the band and weird pictures sometimes, and you know, you get to look inside and oh my God, is the album in good condition? I mean, look at this, it's mint, it hasn't even played, there's no scratches, there's no fingerprints, there's no nothing. When you start collecting vinyl, it's not just about the collection aspect, it's also about the people that collect it. And music is such a thing of passion for people. And so when you get involved in this type of community, you have the ability to see people at their most passionate and loving. And it's something that I really, truly love about this hobby. So anyway, I just wanted to show you my haul. I wanted to talk about some records that I got. If you like this kind of stuff, please leave in the comments below that you did, what you liked about it, what you want me to talk about. I'm happy to talk about anything from my turntable setup. I'm not a tech guy, but I'll tell you what I got. I'll tell you what my collection's like. I'll tell you what it's like to go shopping for records, or what to look for, or whatever else. But at the end of the day, what's important to me is that I can help you guys collect better, share stories and wisdom and thoughts and expertise. If you're interested in that, talk with me in the comments below. Like and subscribe, please. I would love for you guys to be part of my community here. Thanks for watching. Hope that helps. I love you all.